Hey everyone, this is James, and in this video I'm going to talk all about my student teaching experience as well as my experience hosting teachers. Now, I'm creating this video in response to the fact that after I came back from the gym this morning and I had my cup of coffee, I logged into YouTube, and one of the first videos that I watched was from the Teacher Trek, and she was sharing her student teaching experience. And then I got trapped on YouTube because YouTube does those recommended videos, and so I sat there for 2 hours clicking through videos and commenting. So I figured, why not make my own student teaching experience video? So here I am. So my teaching program actually allowed me to sample various grade levels from 5th grade all the way through high school. So I'm actually very grateful for that experience. And I also think it's great because if you're someone who is thinking of becoming a teacher, or you're still undecided about what you want to do, being able to sample the various grade levels will help you perhaps make that determination. Now, I always knew that I wanted to teach high school because of just the conversations that I wanted to have with students. They were at the more advanced level, and I felt that I couldn't do that with students at the primary level. Now, before I actually share my student teaching experience, I want to just give some advice. I highly recommend that you, if you're about to embark on your student teaching experience, that you are fully committed to it, that you attend any faculty meetings, that you attend PLC meetings. So that's content team meetings. For those of you who don't know what PLC is, professional learning community. If there's any opportunity for you to attend a parent-teacher meeting conference, try to attend those, go to any extracurricular activities, immerse yourself in that experience so that way you're not shocked when you actually become a teacher. I don't think it's ever going to fully prepare you for the experience, but you'll be better prepared than I was when I started mine. So to give you some insight on my teaching experience, I taught at a Title I campus in my current district. I taught 9th grade biology. At the time, my district, we offered 7 periods, and they were about 50 to 55 minutes, and I taught the last 2 periods of the day. Now, my cooperating teacher really didn't stay with me. He would always leave anytime I took over the course unless my university facilitator came down or one of the other supervisors came to observe me. Then he stayed and observed to give feedback. However, I didn't have that daily feedback, and I think that's also what led to one of the topics that I talked about in one of my other vlogs in terms of my pedagogy. It was the Understanding by Design vlog that I talked about, so I'll put the link right here so that way you can check that out if you're interested. However, I just didn't have that daily feedback from somebody to tell me, yeah, this is what you're doing really well and this is what you can work on. I was learning trial by error. So I was frustrated about that. I was also frustrated, and I'm not going to lie, a little bit bitter in the beginning. Actually, a couple of us who were at that campus were a little bit bitter because my cohort of student teachers, we would have to meet on Wednesdays in the evening to talk about our student teaching experiences and just other things. And I remember my peers who were at some other campuses, they would say things like, oh, my students are great, they all do their homework, there are no discipline issues. And in the beginning, I used to think, like, why can't I be at a campus like that? I also made the mistake of taking 2 classes at the same time. One of them happened to be physics, which at the University of Texas at the time, like a 20% was an A. That's how stressful that situation was. Then I was also having to write a portfolio for my teaching program. So I just remember being frustrated, like, why can't I be at a campus like that? But then when I started thinking about it, I actually was thankful for that experience being at the campus that I was, because I was learning how to deal with discipline issues. I'd rather have dealt with that then than get a job and not have any experience where I was the actual teacher of record and not having any background on dealing with student discipline issues. So ultimately, I was thankful for that experience. In the end, my student teaching experience, regardless of whether my cooperating teacher was there or not, or if I was frustrated in the beginning because of my class situation and my placement, I actually had a great time. The students were great. I learned a lot. I actually went back to go visit them because I graduated mid-year. So the first job that I had, I actually was the 5th science teacher for that campus. There were 2 science teachers that were certified and then 2 people who were permanent subs. So I made sure to go back to visit the group of students that I student taught. So overall, it was a great experience. However, as I said earlier in my advice, if I could go back, I would just ensure that I would attend meetings, because I didn't do any of that. When I first started teaching on my own, I was not fully prepared for the 24/7 grind of what it meant to be a teacher, because as I said earlier, I only taught 2 classes. I never taught a full day. So having to do that, I just got hit real hard. I was tired because I didn't have that experience. I didn't have experience going to meetings. I didn't have experience doing parent conferences. IEP meetings. Here in Texas, we call them ARDs, admissions, review, dismissal meetings for students that receive special education services. I had no idea what those were. Like, maybe I missed that just being busy during the seminars for student teaching, but I don't remember at all talking about that. So, and partly it was the school didn't do a great job communicating. My first school didn't do a great job communicating that. So someone would show up at my door, hey, you're needed for this art meeting. And I'm like, I'm about to do a science lab. I can't leave my students. You're needed. And I would have to leave. And I remember being frustrated about that. Like, why am I having to come to this meeting? So immerse yourself, if at all possible, in any of those faculty meetings, extracurricular opportunities, so that way you're not bombarded. What I will say is that teaching is not easy, but you can always take steps to make it a little bit easier. So if you can gain as much experience as possible before you get your own classroom, take an opportunity to do that. Now, in regard to my experience hosting student teachers, I didn't have any last year because I just returned back to the classroom. However, the last year that I was in the classroom, I had 2 student teachers. One went through the student teaching program that I was in, and I had her in the spring semester. And in the first one, she actually was the person that inspired me to go get my master's program, because she had left her career to take on teaching as a second career option. So she was going through this accelerated master's program, and she was with me from the very first day of school to the very last day of school. And I'm very much, I want you not to have the experience that I had where no one was giving me feedback on a daily basis. And then I also wanted them to take over as much as possible and gain that experience, so that way they wouldn't be shocked when they actually went into the classroom and had their own students. So the one that I had for a full year, she taught a couple sections in the fall, but then in the spring she taught every single day. And we had a discussion, and she was like, hey, I want to teach all your BA classes, which were I taught chemistry and IPC, integrated physics and chemistry at the time. My IPC courses were on B days every Tuesday, Thursday, so she took all my B day classes and she taught from the start of school to the end of school, all spring semester. And I remember she was just like, the very first time she taught full, she's like, I don't know how you do it. Like, I'm tired. And I just remember smiling, like, I told you so. So if you're gonna host a student teacher, just make sure that you're there. It's not an opportunity for you to go run errands or go do other things. You're there to help that person learn how to become a teacher and to give advice on how they can become better, not to go shopping or do whatever else that you wanna do. Furthermore, it depends. I know some people, they want student teachers, but then they never really relinquish control. They don't allow that person to really experience, teaching. They're always like teaching side by side with that person, or they're requiring that person to do every single lesson or idea that they're doing. I know sometimes that's unavoidable because of just school policy or district policy, but if there's an opportunity for you to allow that person some creative freedom, allow them to lesson plan, to create a test for the students, allow them to teach an entire period without you intervening, and then you can give feedback to that person, because ultimately that person is going to go off and have their own classroom, so you want them to be successful. Again, teaching's hard. I don't think any experience can fully prepare you for your journey into becoming an educator, but again, as I said earlier, any opportunities that you can take to help you make it a little bit easier, then take them. Go to parent meetings, go to IEP meetings, go to whatever extracurricular meetings, go to them. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to do that. Now, if you're about to embark on your student teaching experience, or you're someone who's looking to perhaps become a teacher in the future, what I will say is ask questions, ask for help. Don't be afraid to do that. Even as a first-year teacher, I even ask for help now, and I've been teaching for 10 years now, and I've had various instructional leadership roles, and I'll still ask for help, because this is a very physically and mentally demanding profession. And so any opportunity that you can use to ask somebody for help and get that help and receive it, then take it. Furthermore, if you're going to student teach, as I said many times throughout this video, make sure to take advantage of any opportunities that are available to you, so that way you have a better idea of what it's like to be a teacher. It's not going to fully prepare you, but at least you'll be better prepared than I was when I started my teaching journey. Well, that's it. If there's anything about this video that you like, then hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, then make sure to do so that way you can bond with James. As always, thanks for watching. Bye. Then make sure to hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that like button. And as always,